Good afternoon, everybody. Whoa! That's why I'm not in the show. I've seen quite a few of you that I do know, but for those of you that don't know me, I am Dan Maxey. I'm the current president of the Arts Alive group, and today is our first attempt at bringing theater back to the community. We have a lot of people to thank. Most of them are here on stage, number one, but we could not have been able to even attempt to do this without the generous donation that we received from the former Trenton Acting Guild. Some of you may be familiar with them. They were around for quite a few years. And unfortunately, a lot of passings, a lot of lack of interest, and just decided they wanted to get out of it. So when they approached me for the Arts Alive donation, they asked one small favor. And I said, well, anything at this point would be a big favor as far as I'm concerned. They said, could you please, in some way, shape, or form, continue theater within the community and remember the Trenton Acting Guild. So today I'm reminding you of the Trenton Acting Guild. We were able to do this, and hopefully many, many more. This is the first. As I was telling some people earlier, we're going to start with the community and get as much involvement as possible. Then we're going to move up and get bigger and bigger and bigger. So for any of you that are interested, please come to one of our Arts Alive meetings. We meet every month, the third Tuesday of every month. We are a nonprofit organization. We are always accepting donations. So anything that you feel like that you might want to give us someday, or even today, we've got jars out in the lobby, please feel free. So that's enough about me and Arts Alive. I guess what I would say about us, stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of things coming up in 2022. So be prepared to see a variety of different offerings that will salute the arts. But for today, let's just sit back and enjoy A Christmas Carol.
Marley was dead, to begin with. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it too. There can be no doubt that old Marley was as dead as a doornail. Scrooge knew he was dead? Of course he did. How could it be otherwise? Scrooge and he had been partners for I don't know how many years. Scrooge was his sole executor, his sole administrator, his sole friend, and his sole mourner. There can be no doubt Marley was dead. This must be distinctly understood. Otherwise, nothing wonderful can come of the story I'm going to relate. Scrooge never painted out old Marley's name. There it stood above the warehouse doors for years afterward. Scrooge and Marley. Oh, but he was a tight-fisted hand at that grindstone, Scrooge. A grasping, screeching, scraping, clutching, wrenching, covetous old sinner. External heat and cold had little influence on Scrooge. No warmth could warm, or wintry weather chill him. Nobody ever came upon the street to him and said with gladsome faces, "My dear Scrooge, how are you?" No beggar implored him to bestow a trifle. But what did Scrooge care? It was the very thing he liked. Once upon a time, of all the good days of the year, Scrooge sat busy in his counting house on Christmas Eve. The door was open to keep an eye on his clerk.
Cratchit!
The fire's gone cold, Mr. Scrooge.
This, sir, is a waistcoat. I don't know what this is you wear. I suppose you call it clothing. We typically wear clothing for warmth. Cold is expensive. Now, get back to work.
Yes, I'm very sorry, Mr. Scrooge.
A Merry Christmas, Uncle. God save you.
Bah, humbug.
Christmas? A humbug? Surely you don't mean that.
I do. What right have you to be merry? What reason have you to be merry? You're poor enough.
What right have you to be dismal? You're rich enough.
Bah, humbug.
Don't be cross, Uncle.
What else can I be when I live in such a world of fools as this? Merry Christmas? What's Christmas time to you but a time for finding yourself without the ability to pay for your bills? A time for finding yourself a year older and not yet an hour richer. If I had my will, every idiot that went about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled in his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart. He should.
Uncle!
Nephew, keep Christmas in your own way and let me keep it in mine.
Keep it. Well, you don't keep it.
Well, let me leave it alone then. Much good it's ever done you. Much good it'll ever do you.
I've always thought of Christmas as a good time. A kind, pleasant, charitable, forgiving time. A time when men and women seem by one consent to freely open their closed hearts to one another and view those below them as fellow creatures on the journey to the grave and not other creatures bound on other journeys. And though it has never put a scrap of gold in my pocket, I believe it has done me good and will continue to do me good. So I say, God bless it.
Here, here.
Cratchit, sit down. Be quiet. If I hear another word out of you, you'll keep Christmas by losing your situation. Nephew, you're a fine speaker. It's a wonder you don't go into Parliament.
Don't be cross, Uncle. Come dine with us.
No.
But why?
Why did you get married?
Because I fell in love.
Oh, because you fell in love. What a foolish notion. Good afternoon.
Nay, Uncle. You never gave it as a reason for not coming before. Why give it now?
Good afternoon.
I want nothing from you. I ask nothing. Why can't we be friends?
Good afternoon.
I'm sorry with all my heart to find you so resolute. We have never had any quarrels which I have been party. I made this trial in homage to Christmas, and I'll keep my Christmas humor to the last. So I say, Merry Christmas.
Good afternoon.
And a Happy New Year. Merry Christmas, Mr. Cratchit.
Merry Christmas to you, Mr. Fred.
Oh, there's another with my clerk. 15 shillings a week, a wife and children. It's a wonder I don't retire to bedlam.
Right this way, sir. Thank you.
Scrooge and Marley's, I believe. Who do I have the pleasure of addressing, Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
Mr. Marley has been dead for 7 years. He died 7 years ago this very evening.
Well, during this festive time of the year, Mr. Scrooge, it is more than usually desirable that we make some slight provisions for the poor and destitute who suffer greatly at this present time. Many thousands are in want of common necessities. Hundreds of thousands are in want of common comforts, sir.
Are there no prisons?
Plenty of prisons.
And union workhouses, are they still in operation?
They are, but I wish they were not.
The treadmill in the poor law, still in full vigor?
Yes, full vigor, sir.
Okay, good. Because I thought there for a moment from what you were saying that something had stopped them in their useful course.
A few of us are raising some funds to provide the poor with some means of drink and food and means of warmth. We choose this time of year because it's other wants are usually keenly felt. May I? Yes. Thank you. Mr. Scrooge, how much can we put you down for?
Nothing.
Oh, you wish to remain anonymous?
I wish to be left alone. Since you asked me my wish, sir, that is my answer. I do not make myself merry at Christmas, and I cannot afford to make idle people merry either. I support the establishments that I mentioned with my taxes. And should the persons that you seem to represent not wish to operate within those establishments, then maybe they should just die and decrease the surplus population. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Scrooge.
God rest ye merry gentlemen, have nothing you dismay. Remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day to save us all from Satan's grasp. We have gone astray.
Ah! Humbug! I suppose that you will want all day tomorrow.
If it's quite convenient, sir.
Well, it isn't convenient, and it isn't fair. If I were to stop half-crown for it, you'd think yourself ill-used. Yet I'll pay a full day's wage, and you don't think me ill-used?
It's Christmas is only once a year, Mr. Scrooge.
Poor excuse for picking man's pocket every 25th of December. Be here all the earlier the next day.
Yes, sir. I shall. Thank you very much. Oh, Mr. Scrooge. Merry Christmas.
Bah! Humbug!
Scrooge had not thought of Marley since that afternoon, but when he put his key in the lock of the door, he saw in the knocker, without it having undergone any intermediate process of change, not a knocker, but Marley's face. When he looked fixedly at this phenomenon, it became a knocker once again. To say he was not startled, or that his blood was not conscious of some terrible sensation, would be untrue. He then did pause, and with a moment's irresolution, he closed the door and looked behind it first. He then double-locked the door, which was not his habit to do. He made a careful check of his house. No one was there. He then sat before the fire to take in his gruel.
It's humbug still. I won't believe it. Who? What are you?
Asked me who I was.
Who were you then?
In life, I was Jacob Martin, your partner. You don't believe in me?
I don't.
What evidence do you need of my reality beyond your senses?
I don't know.
You don't believe in me?
I don't know. Any little bit affects my senses. Maybe your pot of mustard, a bit of undigested beef, a fragment of undone potato. There's more of gravy than gravy to you. Humbug, I say.
that had traveled amongst his fellow men and wandered the world far and wide. And his spirit doesn't do so in life, it's doomed to do so in death and wander the world. Witness what it cannot share on, should have shared on earth, and turn to happiness.
Jacob, you're chained. Tell me why.
I wear the chains I forged in life. I made it link by link and yard by yard. Of my own free will I put it on, and of my own free will I wear it. Is it strange to you? Do you know the weight and length of your own chains? They are as full and heavy and long as these 7 Christmas Eves past. Weary journeys lie before me.
Oh, Jacob, speak comfort to me.
Comfort? I have no comfort to give. I cannot rest, I cannot stay, I cannot linger anywhere. My spirit never walked beyond our money-counting house. Hear me, Ebenezer. In life, my spirit never roamed beyond the narrow limits of our money-changing hole. And weary journeys lie before me.
Oh, Jacob, don't be hard upon me.
How is it I appear to you in a shape that you can see? I come here tonight to warn you that you have yet a chance and hope to escape my fate. You'll be haunted by 3 spirits.
Is that the hope and chance you mentioned, Jacob?
Yes, it is.
I think I'd rather not.
Without their visits, you cannot hope to escape the path I tread. Expect the first tomorrow night when the clock strikes 1.
Couldn't I just have them all at once and get them over with, Jacob?
No! Expect the second the next night at the same hour. The third on the next when the clock finished striking midnight. Look to see me no more, Ebenezer, and remember what has passed between us.
The air was filled with phantoms, wandering here and there, moaning as they went. Every one of them wore chains like Marley's ghost. Some were linked together. None were free. Many had been known personally to Scrooge in their lives. He was quite familiar with one old ghost in a white waistcoat who wore a monstrous iron safe attached to its ankle, and who cried piteously at being unable to assist a wretched woman with an infant whom it saw down below upon a doorstep. Oh, the misery of them all was clearly that they sought to help others and had lost all power of doing so forever. When Scrooge awoke, he heard the bell of a neighboring church strike 4 quarters. So he listened for the hour. To his astonishment, the bell went on from 6 to 7, and then from 7 to 8, and regularly on up to 12. 12? It was past 2 when he went to bed. The clock was wrong.
Why, it's not that I could have slept through an entire day and long into the next night. The hour itself and nothing else.
Are you the ghost whose coming was foretold me?
I am.
Who and what are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Long past?
No, your past.
What is your business?
touch of my hand, and you shall be upheld in more than this.
Good heaven, I was a boy here.
Why, your lip is trembling. And what is that on your cheek?
Huh, a pimple. Lead me wherever you wish.
You recollect the way?
Remember it, I could walk it blindfolded.
Strange to have forgotten it for so many years. Let us move on. These are but shadows of the things that have been. They have no consciousness of us. The school is not yet quite deserted. A solitary child, neglected by his friends, is left there still.
I know. Poor boy. I wish. It's too late now.
What's the matter?
Oh, it's just that there was this little boy that came and sang a Christmas carol to me earlier this evening. I should like to have given him something, that's all.
Let's see another Christmas.
Dear brother, I've come to bring you home. Dear brother, to bring you home.
Home, little fan?
Home forever and ever. Father's so much kinder than he used to be. That home's like heaven. He spoke to me so gently one night when I was going to bed. That's not afraid to ask him once more if you might come home. And he said, yes, you should, and sent me a coach to bring you. You ought to be apprenticed, a man, and are never coming back here. But first, we have spent all Christmas long together. Have the merriest time of the world.
You were quite a woman, little fan.
Always such a delicate creature, whom but a breath might have withered. But she had a large heart.
You're right, Spirit. I'll not gainsay it.
She died a woman and had, as I think, children.
One child.
True, your nephew.
Yes. Oh, it's old Master Fezziwig. Master Fezziwig's alive again.
Hilly-ho! Hey, let's make some room here. Let's make lots of room. Hilly-ho, Dick. Ebenezer.
service light or burdensome, a pleasure or a toil. It's as though the happiness that he brings us cost a great fortune.
Well, what's the matter now?
Nothing in particular.
Something, I think.
Oh, I'd like to say a few words to my clerk, that's all.
My time grows
This was not addressed to Scrooge, nor to anyone whom he could tell, but it had an immediate effect. For he saw himself again. He was older now, a man in his prime. His face had not the harsh and rigid lines of later years, but had begun to wear the signs of care and avarice. He was not alone, but at the side of a fair young woman in whose eyes there were tears, which sparkled in the light.
It matters little. To you, very little. Another idol has displaced me. But if it can cheer and comfort you in time to come, as I would have tried to do, I have no just cause to grieve.
What idol has displaced you?
A golden one.
This is the even-handed dealings of the world. There's nothing that is so hard, such as poverty, and there's nothing that professes to condemn more with such severity as the pursuit of wealth.
You fear the world too much. I have seen your nobler aspirations fall off one by one until your master passion, gain, engrosses you. Have I not?
What then? Even if I am so much wiser, what then? I'm not changed towards you. Am I?
Our contract is an old one. It was made when we were both poor and content to be so, until in good season we could improve ourselves. You are changed. When it was made, you were another man.
I was a boy.
Your own feeling tells you that you were not what you are now. I am the same. We would be miserable together. How often and how keenly I have felt this, I will not say. It is enough that I have thought of it and can release you. I have thought of it and can release you.
Have I ever sought release?
In words, no. Never.
In what then?
In a changed nature, in an altered spirit, and another atmosphere of life, and another hope is its great end, and everything that made my love of any worth or value in your sight. If this had never been between us, tell me, would you seek me out and try to win me now? Ah, no.
You think not?
I would gladly think otherwise if I could, heaven knows. But if you were free today, I can't believe that you would choose a dowerless girl. You, who weighs everything by gain. You'd be sorry that you married me because I have no money. And so, I release you. With a full heart, for the love of him you once were. You may have pain in this, but in a very brief time you will gladly forget as an unprofitable dream from which you are happy to live. May you be happy in the life you have chosen. Farewell.
Spirit, show me no more. Why do you delight to torture me?
One shadow more.
No more, Spirit. I don't wish to see it. Show me no more.
But the spirit was relentless and made Scrooge see what happened next. They were in another scene and place, a room not large or handsome, but quite comfortable.
Hello, my lovelies.
Hello, Father.
Hello, dear.
Belle, I saw an old friend of yours this afternoon.
Oh, really? Was it?
Yes.
How can I? Don't I know? Mr. Scrooge.
Mr. Scrooge it was. I passed his office window, and as it was not shut up, and he had a candle inside, I could scarcely help seeing him. His partner lies upon the point of death, I hear. And there he sat, all alone. Quite alone in the world, I do believe.
Spirit, take me away from here. I don't wish to see any more.
Ebenezer Scrooge, I told you these were the shadows of the things that have been, and that they are what they are. Don't blame me.
No, I cannot bear it. Take me away from here. Show me no more. Haunt me no longer.
Good King Wenceslas went out on the feast of Stephen, when the snow lay round about, deep and crisp and even. Brightly shone the moon that night, though the frost was cruel. when a poor man came in sight, gathering winter fuel. Sigh, the night is darker now, and the wind blows stronger. Fails my heart, I know not how, I can go no longer. Mark my footsteps, my good page, tread thou in them boldly. Thou shalt find that winter's rage freeze thy blood less coldly. In his master's step he trod, where the snow lay dented. Heat was in the very sod which the sage had printed. Therefore, Christian men, be sure, will for rank possessing, ye who now will bless the poor, shall yourselves find blessing. Scrooge, know me better, man. I am the ghost of Christmas present. Look on me. You've never seen the like of me before.
Never. Spirit, last night I went forth on compulsion, and I learned a lesson which is doing a good work in me now. If you ought to teach me a lesson, I hope to profit by it. Lead on, Spirit.
Why, whatever has your precious father? Your brother Tiny Tim and Martha weren't as late last Christmas Day by half an hour.
Here's Martha, Mother.
There's Martha, Mother. Pray, there's such a goose, Martha.
Why, bless your heart alive, my dear, how late you are.
We had a great deal of work to finish up last night and had to clear away this morning, Mother.
Well, never mind, as long as you've come. Here, sit, have a warm by the fire. Lord bless ye.
No, there's Father coming. Hide, Martha, hide.
Merry Christmas, my dears. Merry Christmas. Right this way, my dear lad. Here you are. Hello. Merry Christmas. Why? Where's Aunt Martha?
Not coming.
Not coming. Not coming on Christmas Day.
She's here.
Oh, there she is. Hello, Martha. Merry Christmas, my dear. So glad to see you.
And how did Tiny Tim behave?
As good as gold, my dear. Even better. Somehow he gets quite thoughtful sitting by himself so much, and he thinks the strangest things you ever heard. He told me coming home today that he hoped that people saw him in church, and since he's a cripple, that it might be pleasant for them to remember upon Christmas Day who it was that made lame beggars walk and blind men see. He is an exceptional lad, our Tim, and I believe he's getting stronger. Yes, I think he's getting stronger and healthier every day. Don't you think, my dear? We are truly blessed. We have all of our family here with us at Christmas. And a Merry Christmas we shall have. A Merry Christmas, my dears, and may God bless us.
God bless us. Everyone.
Spirit, tell me if Tiny Tim will live.
I see a vacant chair sitting in a chimney corner, and a crutch, ownerless, but carefully preserved. If the shadows remain unaltered by the future, this child will die.
No, kind Spirit, please tell me that he will be spared.
If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, no Christmas will see this child here. What then? If he be like to die, he ought to go ahead and do it and decrease the surplus population. It may be, man, that in the sight of heaven, you are more worthless and less likely to live than millions like this poor man's son.
Oh, my dears, your mother has truly outdone herself again. Such a goose, my dear. This is a feast fit for the Lord Mayor of London. I would like to propose a toast to the founder of the feast. I give you Mr. Ebenezer Scrooge.
The founder of the feast, indeed. Why, I wish I had him here. I'd give him a piece of my mind to feast upon, and I hope he'd have an appetite for it.
My dear, the children, Christmas Day.
Well, it should be Christmas Day, on which one drinks to such an odious, stingy, hard, unfeeling man as Mr. Scrooge. You know he is, Robert. No one knows it better than you, poor fellow.
My dear, Christmas Day.
Well, I'll drink his health for the day's sake and yours, but not his. A very Merry Christmas, a long life to him. He will be very merry and very happy. I have no doubt about that.
My dear, please don't let your thoughts of Mr. Scrooge spoil your Christmas cheer. Christmas is to be a joyous time. A time to celebrate the birth of the Christ child. A time of great jubilation, with music and merriment and song, with caroling and Christmas caroling, my dear. What? It would scarcely be a proper Cratchit family Christmas if we failed to partake in this our most beloved Christmas family tradition. My dear lad Tim, would you care to begin the musical festivities by singing one of your favorite selections?
Yes, Father. God rest ye merry gentlemen, have nothing you dismay. Remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day, to save us all from Satan's power when we had gone astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. In Bethlehem in Israel, the blessed babe was born, and laid within a manger upon this blessed morn, to which his mother Mary did nothing take in scorn. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. God rest ye merry gentlemen, have nothing you dismay. Remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day, to save us all from Satan's power when we had gone astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. I saw three ships come sailing in on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. I saw three ships come sailing in on Christmas Day in the morning. And what was on the ships so three on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day? And what was on the ships so three on Christmas Day in the morning? The Mother Mary and Christ were there on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. The Mother Mary and Christ were there on Christmas Day in the morning.
By this time, it was getting dark and snowing quite heavily. And as Scrooge and the Spirit walked along the streets, the brightness of the kitchens and the parlors and so many wonderful rooms was beautiful. Scrooge and the Spirit stopped when they reached the home of his nephew, Fred.
He
said Christmas was a humbug, my dear. As I live and breathe, he believed it.
More shame for him, Fred.
He's a comical old fellow, and that's the truth. Not so pleasant as he might be. His offenses carry their own punishment, however, and I have nothing to say against him.
I'm sure he's quite rich, Fred. At least you always tell me so.
What of that, my dear? It's of no use to him. He doesn't make himself comfortable with it. He doesn't do any good with it. He hasn't the satisfaction of thinking he's ever going to benefit us with it.
I have no patience with him.
Oh, I have. I'm very sorry for him. I couldn't be angry with him if I tried. Here, he takes it into his head to dislike us and doesn't come for dinner. He doesn't lose much of a dinner.
Indeed, I think he loses a very good dinner.
He loses some pleasant moments, which could do him no harm. And I'm sure he loses pleasanter companions that he could find in his own thoughts, either in his dusty chambers or his moldy office. I mean to give him the same chance every year, before I pity him. He may rail at Christmas till he dies, but I defy him. He can't help thinking better of it if he finds me coming around year after year in good humor, saying, "Uncle, how are you?" Even if it leaves him in the vein to leave his clerk 50 pounds. That's something.
Fred and his pretty wife welcome their guests for some parlor games.
Oh, look, Spirit. Here's a game. Let's just a half hour more. Just one more, Spirit.
I'm thinking of something.
Is it an animal?
Yes.
A disagreeable animal?
Yes.
A savage animal?
Yes.
Does it growl?
Yes.
Does it live in London?
Yes.
Is it killed in the market?
No.
Is it a bear?
No.
I know what it is. I found it out, Fred.
What is it?
Your Uncle Scrooge.
He has given us much merriment. It would be ungrateful not to drink his health. So I say, Uncle Scrooge.
Uncle Scrooge.
Much they saw, and far they went, and many homes they visited, but always a happy end. The spirit stood beside sick beds, and they were cheerful. On foreign lands, and they were close at home. By poverty, and it was rich. By struggling men, and they were cheerful in their greater hope. In almshouse, hospital, and jail, in mercy's every refuge, where vain men, in their brief little authority, had not barred the doors and locked the spirit out. The spirit gave his very blessing and taught Scrooge his precepts. Scrooge became acquainted with want and ignorance. He was shocked by them.
Have they no refuge? Have they no resource?
Have they no prison? Have they no workhouse?
Scrooge looked about him for the ghost, but could see it not. And as the last bell ceased to chime, he remembered the prediction of old Jacob Marley, and raising his eyes, beheld a solemn phantom, draped and hooded, coming like mist across the sand toward him. It slowly, gravely, silently approached, and as it drew near, Scrooge fell to his knees, for its very presence seemed to scatter gloom and mystery. The spirit was shrouded in a dark black cloak. It covered his head, his face, his very form. Nothing nothing visible save for one outstretched hand. But for this, it would have been difficult to detach it from the night and separate it from the very darkness that surrounded it. As it came nearer to Scrooge, he felt it was tall and stately, and its mysterious presence filled him with a certain dread. Scrooge knew no more, for the spirit neither spoke nor moved.
Are you the ghost of Christmas future? You're about to show me the shadows of things that have not yet happened, but may happen in the time before us. Is that so? Spirit, I know that you intend to do me good, and I know that I should profit by your lessons. Lead me on. The time is waning fast, and it's precious to me. Lead me on, Spirit.
Well, old Scratch has finally met his end, eh?
I don't know much about it either way, but I do know he's dead.
How did he die?
I don't know. I think he died last night.
What I want to know is what happened to his money.
I don't know. Maybe he left it to his company, perhaps.
Maybe.
All I know is he didn't leave it to me.
They left the busy scene and went to another part of town where Scrooge had never been before, but he was familiar with its situation and bad repute.
Look here, old Joe, here's a chance. If we haven't been here without meaning it.
What do you got there?
Every person has a right to take care of themselves. He always did. Who's the worse for a loss of a few things like these? Not a dead man, I suppose.
Hey, those are my things!
What's this?
Oh, that's his shirt. You can look through that shirt till your eyes ache. There's not a hole in it nor a threadbare place. It's the best he had to find one too. They'd have wasted it if it hadn't been for me.
What's this?
Well, that's curtains for his bed. I took them right down, rings and all.
What do you mean wasted it?
Well, they put this shirt on and reburied it, to be sure. Someone was fool enough to do it, but I took it off again. He can't look uglier than he did in that one.
That's a lie.
Here's the end of it, you see. He frightened everyone away from him while he was alive to profit us when he was dead.
Much they saw, and far they went, and many homes they visited, but always a happy end. The spirit stood beside sick beds, and they were cheerful. On foreign lands, and they were close at home. By poverty, and it was rich. By struggling men, and they were patient in their greater hope. In almshouse, hospital, and jail, in mercy's every refuge, where vain men, in their brief little authority, had not barred the door and locked the spirit out. The spirit gave his very blessing and taught Scrooge his precepts. Scrooge became familiar with want and ignorance. He was shocked by them.
Have they no resource? Have they no refuge?
Have they no prison? Have they no workhouse?
Scrooge looked around for the spirit, but saw it not. And as the last bell ceased to chime, he remembered the prediction of old Jacob Marley, and raising his eyes, beheld a solemn phantom, draped and hooded, coming like mist along the street toward him. It slowly, gravely, silently approached. And as it drew nearer to him, Scrooge fell to his knees, for the very presence of it seemed to scatter gloom and mystery. The figure was draped and shrouded in a deep black cloak. It was covered, its face, its head, its very form. Nothing visible, save for one outstretched hand. If not for this, it would have been difficult to detach it from the night and separate it from the very darkness by which it was surrounded. As it drew nearer to Scrooge, he felt that it was tall and stately, and the very presence of it filled him with a horrible dread. Scrooge knew no more, for the spirit neither spoke nor moved.
Am I in the presence of the ghost of Christmas future? You're about to show me the shadows of things that have not yet happened, but will happen in the time before us. Is that so? Spirit, I fear you more than any specter I have seen thus far. But as I know your promise is to do me good, and as I hope to live to be a different man from what I was, I am prepared to bear you company, and do so with a thankful heart. Will you not speak to me? Oh, the time is waning fast, and it's precious to me. Lead on, Spirit. Lead on.
Well, old Scratch has finally got his own, eh?
Well, I don't know much about it either way, but I do know he's dead.
When did he die?
Last night, I believe.
Why, what was wrong with him? I thought he'd never die.
I want to know about his money.
Oh, wow. I don't know. Left it to his company, perhaps. All I know, he didn't leave it to me.
Scrooge and the spirit left the busy scene and went to another part of town, a place where he had never been before, but he was familiar with its bad reputation and its sordid future.
Come in, come in.
Look here, old Joe, here's a chance. If we haven't met here without meaning it.
Oh, I couldn't have had a better place.
Every person has a right to take care of themselves. He always did. Who's the worst for the loss of a few things like these? Not a dead man, I suppose.
Hey, those are my things.
If he wanted to keep them after he was dead, why wasn't he natural in his lifetime? If he had been, he'd have had someone to look after him instead of lying out there gasping out his last breath alone by himself.
What do you call this? A shirt?
Whose senses do you think? There's not a threadbare place or a hole in it. It's the best he had, and a fine one too. They'd have wasted it if it hadn't been for me.
What do you mean wasted it?
Well, putting it on him to be buried in, to be sure.
Oh,
Someone was fool enough to do it. But I took it off again. He can't look uglier than he did in that one. Here's the end of it, you see. He He frightened everyone away from him while he was alive to profit us while he was dead.
Spirit, I see. I see. The case of this unhappy man might well be my own. My life tends that way now, I suppose. Merciful heaven! What is that?
Scrooge recoiled in terror, for he saw on the table a man draped in nothing but an old cloth. It was unwatched, unwept, and uncared for.
Spirit, show me some tenderness connected with death, please.
Scrooge looked about for himself, but he was nowhere to be seen. They then entered the home of poor Bob Cratchit and found mother and children seated by the fire.
And he took a child and set him in the midst of them.
The color hurts my eyes. They're better now. The candlelight makes them weak, and I would not show your father weak eyes for the world when he came home. It should be near his time.
Past it, rather. But I think he's walked a little slower these few past evenings, Mother.
I've known him to walk with Tiny Tim upon his shoulders very fast indeed.
And so have I. And so have I.
He was very light to carry, and his father loved him so. It was no trouble, no trouble. I think that's your father at the door now.
Hello, my dears. Why, you're all working so hard on your sewing. I believe you'll be done before Sunday.
Sunday? You went to the churchyard today then, Robert?
Yes, my dear. I wish you could have gone. It would do you good to see how green a place it is. But you'll see it often. I promised our Tim we would all walk there on Sundays. My poor child. My poor, precious child.
Don't grieve, Father.
My dears, I know that none of us shall forget poor Tiny Tim, shall we?
Not really, Father.
Especially not upon this season of the year, our first Christmas without him.
Never, Father.
And I know when we recollect upon how patient and mild our Tim was, we won't quarrel easily amongst ourselves and forget poor Tim in doing it, shall we?
No, never, Father.
I am very happy. Very happy.
The ghost of Christmas yet to come conveyed him, as before, although not in the same order of things. These visions seem to have no set order to them other than they were in the future, in the lives of businessmen. And the spirit seemed to go on and not stop for anything, save for the end it now desired, until Scrooge besought it to tarry a moment.
Spectre, something tells me that our parting moment is at hand. I know it. Tell me, who was that we saw lying dead? Spirit, before I draw near to that stone to which you point, answer me one question. Are these the shadows of things that may be only? Men's lives foreshadow certain ends, but if they change, the ends will change. Please say that I can change. once was. I'm not the man that I must have been. Please tell me that I can change the writing on that stone. No, Spirit, the presence of all three spirits shall strive within me. I will keep presence. I will keep Christmas in my heart. I will honor its presence within me. I'm not the man that I must have been. Please tell me that I can change the shadows before us through an altered life. Please tell me that I can change. Spirit, tell me that I can change. Tell me that I can change. Spirit, tell me that I can change. Tell me that I can change.
Yes, the room was his. Oh, and best and happiest of all, the time before him was his to make amends in.
Yes. Ha! I've done it. The spirits have done everything in one night. Oh, I will keep the present and the past and the future within me. Oh, the Christmas time in heavens and Jacob Marley be praised for this. I say it on my knees. Oh, Jacob Marley, on my knees. I'm as light as a feather. I'm as happy as a schoolboy. I'm as merry as an angel. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a Happy New Year! Ha 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 ha! Say, you boy, what day is it today?
Hey?
What day is it today?
Today? Why, it's Christmas Day.
It is. I haven't missed it. The spirits have done everything in one night. Hello, my fine boy.
Hello.
Say, do you know the Poulters at the end of the street, over on the corner?
I should hope that I did.
Oh, a remarkable boy. Do you know if they happen to have the prize turkey still there?
What? The one as big as me?
A delightful boy, yes.
It's hanging there now.
It is. Go and get it. I am in earnest. Go and get it and bring it back to me with a man, and I'll give you a shilling. Do it in less than 5 minutes, and I'll give you half a crown. Oh, whatever will I do with that big of a turkey? I know. I'll give it to Bob Cratchit. He'll have no idea where it came from.
Scrooge donated generously to the poor and needy, and then he set off for Fred's house. He was so nervous, he walked by the door several times before knocking and going in. His nephew welcomed him, as did his wife, and they enjoyed a delicious dinner. He also enjoyed the parlor games afterwards. The next morning, he was ready to meet Bob Cratchit, who, as usual, was late.
Cratchit, what is the meaning of your arrival at this hour?
I'm very sorry, sir. I am behind on my time today.
Oh, you are?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you are. Step this way, if you please.
Yes, sir. It shall be repeated again, sir. Christmas is only once a year. I was making quite merry yesterday.
My friend, this sort of behavior will not be stood for, and it will not be repeated. You are right. And therefore, I'm going to raise your salary. I'm going to give you a bonus. This is going to be the merriest Christmas that we've had in many a year. Before you dot another I, Bob Cratchit, we're going to buy some more coal for that fire, and maybe have a cup of soup while we're out.
Scrooge did it all, and infinitely more. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die, Scrooge was like a second father. He was as good a friend, as good a master, as good a man as this good old city had ever seen. It was often said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas well, if anyone did. And may that be said of us, and of all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed, God bless us, everyone. Please join us in singing Joy to the World. The lyrics are in your program.